defensive end, and that's why, Mike, they've only lost 2 games all season long.
That's right. You look at the starting lineups here and keep an eye on Matilda Eck in the middle. She is a great three-point shooter, 3rd in the Big Ten in made threes. She did not have a great shooting performance in the last game. As for Indiana, it is pick your poison. So much talent across the board.
5 different starters all average at least 9 or more points in scoring. It literally is pick your poison. You've got to make sure you shut down not just one player, but it's defense by committee.
Buckle up, folks. 2 very high-scoring teams. In fact, 2 teams in the top 20 in the country with points per game. Grace Berger, the leader of this team with the ball. She has been a 4-time first-team All-Big Ten player. And Mackenzie Holmes, her first shot, it goes in. No surprise. She shoots 69% from the floor.
Michigan State switched everything on that possession in their man-to-man defense. Nice job by Berger finding Holmes.
Kamaria McDaniel for the Spartans offline, but Maura Joyner, who was so big in their game yesterday, keeps it alive. McDaniel will fire from deep.
Acting head coach Dean Lockwood for Michigan State says you're never going to be as open as when you first catch the ball. McDaniel hesitated just a little bit, but she was still just as open as when she caught the ball. She's got to look to be aggressive early on.
Remember, Michigan State's defense has been so impressive this year because of that press, but that press gets started if they get a bucket.
Mackenzie Holmes is so physical, and she's great at creating enough space and getting the proper positioning. She uses her body and her hips to steal and create that space.
Last time Indiana played in a Big Ten tournament was last year's championship game, which they lost to Iowa. Holmes again inside, this time no good, and McDaniel's running. Celine Alexander trying to shake Holmes, and that's a tough task to do it, but she finds a way.
That's a nice job by Alexander, staying composed, getting Holmes to come up, and eventually finding enough space to get an open look.
Sydney Parrish crosses the timeline.
Indiana's getting the ball out and trying to get quick up for offensive possessions, avoiding any sort of press.
Berger in the paint, 5-footer, offline, and it's Michigan State ball. You know the story with the Spartans this year. Susie Merchant was involved in a minor car accident in late January. She was hospitalized. She's out of the hospital now, but that means Dean Lockwood, the associate head coach, is the acting head coach. It's his 9th straight game he's been in that position.
It's been a tough month for the Spartans, but they've prevailed, through all they've had to deal with regarding the tragedy on campus as well. It's been a lot to take in, but this is the Michigan State team that's playing really good basketball right now.
Chloe Moore-McNeil underneath, steps on the line and forces a turnover. You know, we talked with Terry Morin about one of the keys to the game, and she said it's important to limit turnovers early on. She's your Big Ten Coach of the Year this year. She knows what she's talking about. But she knows that yesterday Michigan State forced 4 turnovers on the first 4 possessions for their opponent.
It's defeating when early on your opponent's able to turn you over at such a high rate, and it got Nebraska down.
Joyner, line. Holmes again, they're feeding her often and early, but that's back-to-back misses for someone who rarely misses inside. Hageman in the corner. Joyner blocked by Parrish. Hageman. Alexander. How many offensive rebounds for MSU? Eck. And how many misses for the Spartans? It'll stay with the green and white.
In tournaments like this, it's natural for the team that played the day before to maybe come out with a little more juice just because they're used to this environment, the surroundings, and they've just had a game underneath them. But also, it's not surprising that Michigan State might look a little tired and be short on their shots because they did just play a game the day before.
4 offensive rebounds for Michigan State. They're up by 3 early on the top-seeded team. Shot clock down to 6 for Grace Berger. Great defense by Joyner. Holmes has the rebound. Swatted by Alexander and a whistle. It's on Alexander.
Great defensive possession for Michigan State. Moira Joyner in the one-on-one defense, guarding Berger, forcing a tough shot. When you see the arm right there, Alexander gets Holmes on the box out. And Alexander has to take Holmes and box her out, put her back into Holmes and push her out of the circle in order to create space to get the rebound, because now Alexander's on the bench with 2 fouls, and she's been really effective guarding Holmes early on and making her not as efficient in the paint.
Their game yesterday, they had some foul issues as well. Tyra Parks was playing great for them, but she had to take a bunch of time on the bench in foul trouble. Holmes, your Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. It's both free throws. She's been so good this year. I mean, she could have absolutely, if it weren't for the wonder that is Caitlin Clark, been the Big Ten Player of the Year.
It just goes to show you how deep this league is. I mean, Holmes put up incredible numbers, nearly 23 points a game. The way that she's been able to defend as well. It's truly remarkable to have a post player be such an effective two-way player, not just committing to getting easy buckets offensively, but also defensively being a force in the paint night in and night out consistently.
Chloe Moore McNeil off her finger. It'll be Michigan State ball. We mentioned how good Holmes is at defense, almost 2 blocks a game. That's tops in the conference. This is an Indiana team that's great defensively as well, which is a staple of Terry Morin.
Well, this Indiana team is allowing less than 61 points a game. They're so locked into the scouting report, understanding personnel, and committing to taking away players' tendencies.
Lily Meister checks in and is on defense there as Holmes is on the sideline. Seems to be checking if something's not right physically.
Holmes has been able to get through this season pretty healthy. A year ago, she had missed nearly a month with a knee injury. And as you know, as we get through the month of March, the best ability is availability. In teams that have the depth and they can stay healthy are the teams that have a tendency to make really deep runs in March.
You mentioned the 8 games she missed last year. Returned in February. The team had to learn to play without her. In a similar way, they had to do that with Grace Berger this year, who was injured early on. In fact, should point out, Grace Berger did not play when they played against Michigan State, and the Spartans beat the Hoosiers.
And the Spartans were able to generate 21 turnovers against Indiana last time. And it was because Grace Berger was not there as an extra ball handler to handle this press. Here's Holmes, 54 on the screen, and just kind of falls down weird on that knee. She was still able to get up under her own power, but just an awkward fall and landing for the senior.
That's partly why they're keeping Lily Meister in, number 52. She's got 2 fouls already. Bounce pass to Eck. Beautiful execution by the green and white.
Hageman was able to go right towards Eck, and Eck took a hard step towards the sideline that was able to juke the defender one way and get a wide open look on the backdoor cut.
Sarah Scalia has checked in the game, someone who knows the state of Minnesota quite well. She shoots the 3 right here. It's offline, but Scalia's a transfer from the Gophers. Joyner. The 3 goes for MSU, and what a start for the 9th seed.
Transition 3 is one of the hardest plays to guard in basketball, and nobody really had an opportunity to match up against Joyner as Michigan State was out running.
So we haven't seen much of a press from Michigan State early on. It's working. They're up 11-4. Spargesser short. Ball is saved, but Hageman has it. This is the 6-0 run. Joyner again. Far too strong.
And to your point, when you have to press for 40 minutes, it's exhausting. Michigan State did that yesterday, so perhaps picking and choosing when they're going to use that press to be effective and slow down Indiana.
This is a cold Indiana team, 1 of 8 from the floor to open things up. McDaniel with a long 2. An 8-0 run for Michigan State.
The Spartans have been able to score early and often in the possession. It started on the defensive side of the ball, getting one-and-done situations from Indiana. Indiana to 1 for 8 from the field, and then they just simply attacked. Indiana has to do a better job getting back defensively and matching up one-on-one, because Michigan State right now is scoring at will, and they're driving the ball any and everywhere on the offensive end.
Mackenzie Holmes is checked back in. She has the ball with Tyre Parks on her. She's missed back-to-back bunnies, and she misses that shot because she's fouled by Kamaria McDaniel. So I mentioned this earlier, but Michigan State has been so effective with their press, forcing turnovers. It was on the minds of both coaches when we talked before the game, but we haven't seen much of it. Elaborate on why you think that is.
Well, Michigan State just pressed for 40 minutes 24 hours ago, so trying to keep some legs fresh. We might see this press break out more so in the second quarter or in the second half. And then also, Coach Locke was really concerned about paint points, and if Indiana can continue breaking that press, it's going to lead to an increase in paint points. So just trying to keep everybody locked in. And right now, Michigan State's doing a nice job helping over on Holmes and trying to make things really difficult and clogged in the paint.
That's still forced 4 turnovers for the Hoosiers. Doing great on the boards. And gets double teamed. Here comes Sydney Parrish with the steal. And Tori Osmond takes it away. Spartans can set up. Parks trying to get room inside on Holmes. McDaniel's going to have to shoot. Little pump fake in the air. Gets her own board again. Offensive rebounds helping Michigan State.
Indiana hasn't been disciplined at all boxing out. They're simply just jumping up in the air versus Michigan State running in, generating some contact to get those second chance opportunities. Indiana's got to box out.
Indiana averages 81 points a game. That is second best in the Big Ten. Finally, they get some points, and it's a 3 from Sarah Scalia.
Scalia's been able to open so much up for Indiana because of her ability to knock it down at nearly 40% from 3. And Indiana needs to create some space on the inside right now with how congested it is from Michigan State.
Traveling by McDaniel. Let's check in with Christy Winter-Scott.
At the last time out, Terry Morin was adamant. She said, we have to attack the seams on the offensive end. We're just passing it around and settling for outside shots. Get to the rim. And on defense, she said, you all should be upset. I changed words. You all should be upset at the effort that you are applying on the defensive end. They're getting anything that they want to on the offensive end. Get up underneath of this Michigan State team.
Well, especially in transition defense, Indiana is just kind of jogging back, not matching up quick enough. And Michigan State's made them pay so far.
Daniel out to an open Joyner. Book it for Joyner. Maura Joyner had 16 points, 4 steals, and 5 rebounds yesterday. When we asked her coach about her, he just said guts. She's the guts of the team, which could easily be said about Chloe Moore McNeil.
Great decision by Chloe Moore McNeil. Nobody stopped her in transition. She's just going to say, I'm going to pull up as a result. Moore McNeil also needs to start spurring a run for Indiana on the defensive side of the ball walking in.
Parks passes it off wonderfully, and that's Stephanie Fisher, the grad senior, who head to the line.
Michigan State is face-cutting Indiana on the offensive side of the ball. They're making such tough, hard cuts. Scalia gets stuck ball watching. Parrish comes over for the foul. That's a great cut by Michigan State. The paint touches lead to open threes, and McDaniel is able to generate a lot of space because she drives in. 2 Indiana defenders collapse, and that leads to an open passing lane for Moira Joyner.
Looks like the press is on again for MSU.
I like how Michigan State's been mixing up when they're pressing and when they're not, because it's not allowing Indiana to establish a flow.
Yarden-Care zone to Mackenzie Holmes, and that's the easy bucket they've been looking for.
When the Hoosiers can get the ball up the floor quickly against the press, good things happen because Michigan State can't recover as fast.
Hageman right into the paint, and Moore McNeil the other way. Outlet to Berger. She's all alone for a long 2 on the baseline. Parks has it. Slow things down. Up by 7. What a great start to this game for the Spartans. McDaniel again. McDaniel's got double digits already. And Hageman steals it. Joyner offline to Berger. She's got 6 seconds left in the quarter. Garzone, a good three-point shooter. What an amazing start for the 9th-seeded Spartans.
About as good as it gets from a defensive perspective for the Spartans, and they were scrappy down low, creating second-chance opportunities and forcing Indiana to speed up. It started with
Women's basketball tournament presented by TIAA. 3 more games today after this one, starting with a Michigan-Ohio State matchup up next.
I am surprised by how much energy Michigan State has in this game after playing a tough one that went down to the wire 24 hours ago. The Spartans look like they are well rested and ready to rock and roll.
The last 6 three-pointers Michigan State has shot have all gone in. The layup misses. That's great. Go do the threes. Those are working, right? They're shooting.
Not many times you're going to say that.
62% from deep. Garzone, a tough shot as she was falling in the lane. Let's listen into what the IU huddle was like that last time out.
So you guys, again, you're in for the fight of your life right now. You're in for the fight of your life. All right, we'll see what we're made of. Yep. All right, going down the stretch here. Okay, going down the stretch. Because you've given them life. But again, the only way we get back into it is get stops. All right, we got to get stops one at a time.
Her program's built on defense. That makes sense.
Well, you got to get stops, and that's how you generate runs. When you can slow down your opponent, get the ball, and get some quick, easy buckets, that's going to be what spurs a run, as you see. Another injury on the ground.
That's Keandra Brown, the junior, who's grabbing what looks like her right thigh. We have seen a handful. And we'll keep you posted on what we learn. How does this impact the game, these final 3:58 minutes of the second quarter for both teams?
Well, it's scary to see your teammate go down in an injury that looks to be pretty bad. So as a team, you just really have to try to shift your focus back to the game and trying to come together and fight for that teammate that just went down. And on the flip side for Michigan State, you know, a stoppage in play that long does take away some momentum. It's going to be the go time for Indiana. You see they score on the first play off of that brief pause.
Holmes gets the 2, but that was my second thought. We all know how it affects when it's your teammate. You feel a certain heaviness, and it's got to be in the back of your mind. But when it's not your teammate and you're out of a rhythm when you've been playing great ball, it has an effect on you too. Joyner. That's the first 3 they've missed in the last 6 attempts. Holmes, the left elbow. Back-to-back buckets for IU.
Indiana coming out with a sense of purpose and energy ever since that stoppage in play.
This is the number 2 team in the country, Indiana. Already set a program record with 26 wins in the regular season. A block by Holmes. Scalia left alone. It's a 7-0 run. Timeout, Michigan State.
Indiana comes alive because they get defensive stops and let it lead to better offense. And
yes, Indiana just hit that 3. Both squads are now lights out from deep, each shooting 57% from the floor. Indiana was cold early on. They've only missed 1 of their last 5 shots.
They've been able to get out and run in transition, and as a result, they've gotten higher percentage shots because Michigan State hasn't been able to match up quickly.
McDaniel having a great offensive day, but creates an offensive foul there. Boy, has the game shifted entirely.
A complete momentum shift for Indiana after the injury. Michigan State's lost a lot of juice. And McDaniel, oh, right there, Parks just like side hits. Grace Berger makes her fall all the way to the ground.
It's 2 on Parks.
Well, Parks has to be careful because right now Alexander's on the bench with 2 fouls. Now Parks has 2. And they cannot, Michigan State cannot have 2 post players in foul trouble against a player as dynamic and effective as Mackenzie Holmes.
A-Roll has 2 fouls as well. Scalia driving, gets her own board, and gets a whistle. She'll head to the line.
That wasn't a great initial shot by Scalia, kind of forcing it up in the air, off balance, but nice job staying with the play and creating a second chance opportunity.
All right, the story of the day has unfortunately been the injury that happened a moment ago to Keandra Brown. Christy Winters, Scott, have you learned anything new?
Yes, Keandra Brown will not return to the contest. She has had 2 surgeries on her right labrum, her right hip, one after a freshman year and one last year. And they fear that that could be the issue today, but she will not return to the game this afternoon.
And that's a really tough surgery to recover from. I had that in college, and it's a 9-month recovery. At least it was for me. So it's so aggravating when you're in that impinged position in your hip to be able to move laterally, especially.
McDaniel, desperate to stop a 9-0 run. She's up to 15 in this first half.
Nice job by McDaniel staying patient. She waited till the shot clock started to wind down, but didn't get rushed. She waited for Berger to juke off of her before she took the shot.
About a half, we'll send it across the court. Justine Ward and Autumn Johnson have our State Farm halftime report. Rebound, that's going to be a foul on Indiana as Alyssa Geary checked into the game and went over the back.
Good box out by Michigan State to force Geary to try to go over the back. She thought she had the height advantage, but putting a button to a gut and pushing out to generate enough space is what leads to the over the back call.
What a dramatic shift we've had in this game. That unfortunate injury in the game has been so different ever since. Great for the Spartans to get that basket there by McDaniel to at least break that run. Alyssa Geary, we mentioned, just committed that foul. She's played in 19 games this year, but averages only 6 minutes, so the Hoosiers are using their bench. And I suppose as you're beginning March, where you're going to be playing multiple games without a ton of days off, this is when you need to have a good bench.
Well, part of the reason why Indiana's been successful is because they have depth and 6 different players that average 9 or more points a game. And then you also add in the fact that, you know, somebody like Sarah Scalia comes in who can hit from deep. You just have multiple weapons right now for the Hoosiers. They're about 7 strong right now, and that's going to matter as you get down the stretch in March.
If I would have told you that Hageman and Eck would have combined for 4 points and Michigan State would be leading with a minute left in the half, what would you have said?
I would have said, no way, Jose. And also, if you would have told me Michigan State knocked down 8 threes after playing 24 hours ago,
yeah.
I mean, to knock down threes at a high rate, you have to be fresh. Your legs have to be underneath you. And Michigan State has knocked these down in transition. Not to mention, the Spartans haven't even pressed that much in this game. So conserving that energy perhaps has allowed them to get their legs underneath them to have more lift on shots. But I've been so impressed with the effort and the way that Michigan State has come out to execute in this first half.
You know what's interesting for Indiana, though they had such a cold start, their free throws have been effective. I know Holmes just missed that one, but they've got 10 points at the free throw line in this first half.
And that's what Indiana needs to continue doing when they're down, trying to get to the paint and force some free throw opportunities for themselves.
Joyner, Osmond, Hageman offline with that shot, well offline. Berger to Holmes. That pass was offline. She does not do that often.
She even looked at Holmes and said, my bad. Berger is such a smart player with her decision-making. She waited almost a half second too long before letting that fly because Holmes was open for a second, but as a result of hesitating, the pass missed.
And she's such a great passer. This is her 4th straight year with more than 100 assists in the season. About 6 seconds different between shot and game as we end this first half of the first of 4 games on this quarterfinal Friday. McDaniel will fire. And she's stuck on 8 threes. 10 seconds in the half. Geary sets a screen for Berger. 1 second. They don't get off a shot. That Michigan State defense was one of the big stories yesterday. They've been a great story today. If you can hold Indiana to 34 points at half,
The Spartans have been so locked in defensively, whether that's because Grace Berger isn't able to score and she isn't able to facilitate.
0 for Parrish, 0 for Berger, 3 for Garzon. That almost never happens to a team that is second in the Big Ten, averaging 81 points a contest. What do you think they have to do differently in this second half? Maybe get open looks like that.
Well, knockdown shots always helps, right? When you can get some open looks and knock them down with confidence. Indiana has to start on the defensive side of the ball, keeping Michigan State to one-and-done situations and getting out easy transition buckets on the offensive side.
I was just going to say, keep in mind, this is a defensive program. In fact, once this year, they gave up only 24 points in a game. Hageman with a tough shot. It doesn't go, and the Hoosiers are running. Down only by 3. Garzon can heat up from deep. It's a bunch of the rim, but doesn't go in. Here's Maura Joyner.
Nice
Great
cut.
give and go. Joyner can't finish. That's 2 straight misses for MSU. Holmes draws the whistle. It's on Iselene Alexander. Let's check in with Christy Winter-Scott.
I had a chance to catch up with Terry Morin walking into the arena after halftime and ask her, what kinds of adjustments do you need to make on the defensive end? And she said, we have to protect the three-point line. The last time these two teams met, Michigan State was 4 of 9 for the entire game from 3. And then those 8 threes in the first half, she said that was just not good enough. So you saw in the last defensive possession, the closeout to that three-point line, and they couldn't get the shot off. Look for more of that. They're going to be running Michigan State off that three-point line in the second half.
They average just about 8 a game. They have 8 in the first half. That's our State of Success brought to you by State Farm.
In running Michigan State off of the three-point line, the help side defense for Indiana also has to be there. So when Michigan State does start to put the ball on the floor, they don't just get straight line drives to the basket.
You know, Michigan State's a great team at getting to the free throw line, but they haven't in this game. They're winning despite only 5 free throw attempts thus far. Joyner, no. Parks, yes.
And Parks is so physical. She's not afraid to battle down low in the post, and she generates so much space, and so she has time to get the rebound.
Parrish in and out. By the way, while we're checking with Christy, Iselene Alexander picked up her 3rd foul, so she's back on the bench. Tyre Parks out to Joyner. Before the shot, there's a foul. It's on Sydney Parrish. That's her 2nd.
This is a nice action by Michigan State. It's a little slide tackle, perhaps.
Hageman. Arizona's 3rd three-point attempt of the second half. And Holmes gets a foul on Parks. That's her 3rd.
Both Parks and Alexander from Michigan State have been really physical with Holmes. And you see her kind of limping a little bit, going up and down the floor for Indiana. She's had a really physical battle. She's getting beat up down low in the paint right now.
Mackenzie Holmes didn't run in with the team after the halftime break. Everyone else came out, and then she walked in, and she had a heat pack on that left knee. She did take it off and got into the layup line, but you're right, Megan, she is laboring a bit, but sticking with it and staying on the court. You remember at the end of last season, she was struggling with pain in that same knee.
She's already got 19 points, thanks to 9 coming from the free throw line in this game. She scored 20 points in 5 consecutive contests.
Right now you see the mismatch of Holmes going against Didi Hageman.
Hageman misses the 3, but it's a foul on Garzon. 2nd on Garzon.
Well, Holmes got switched out here on the screen, and then Hageman, that's a big mismatch. Hageman could easily just drive right by her. Holmes is trying to make sure that doesn't happen, gives her enough space on the step back, and Garzone just does not let Hageman land. Once the shooter leaves the floor to shoot the ball, you have to let them land as a shooter before you box them out.
You mentioned the scoring struggles for Garzone, for Berger, and Parrish. They've combined for 6 points right now. They average 35 a game combined.
I credit the way this Michigan State team has come out to defend. And Indiana just hasn't been able to establish any sort of flow. Michigan State's been able to keep the Hoosiers on their toes. Now you see the full court press coming, but they haven't pressed the whole entire game, which is something we thought we would see.
That's right. Indiana's ready for it. It is an effective press normally. And we heard from Gene Lockwood is that when it comes to their press, it doesn't have to lead to turnovers. They just like speeding up their opponent and not getting them in a comfortable position. Berger. Cannot get it. There's a lid on the rim for her.
Oh, she's still having to spin and shoot really quickly. Fast moving pace by Michigan State offensively.
0 for 6 from the floor for Berger. Finally, her first basket of the day.
Berger's like, I'm going to score if it's the last thing I do in this quarter. That's what seniors do. Someone as strong-willed and smart as Berger, and I like that shot for her, shoulder squared in the paint.
Hageman draws a whistle. She'll head to the line. And Hageman's hurt. Hageman grabbing her face right after that shot. Slow to rise.
This has been a really physical matchup, and Hageman rejects the screen more. McNeils gets out of position.
Looks like Garzone right there.
Oh, yep, right in the face.
That's the third foul on Garzone. Hageman is squinting her eyes. With his heading to the free throw line to shoot.
Indiana has such great size. Garzone's 6'3", and, you know, she's a guard. So to have her on the bench is such a disadvantage for Indiana because Indiana's length defensively is so disruptive for guards, and now they have to bring in someone smaller with not as much depth and length as Yarden Garzone has.
She hit a three. Garzone did early on in this third quarter. They're on the bench with 3 fouls. Hageman's been great from the free throw line. She has 7 points on all 7 free throw attempts after going 0 for 6 shooting.
Hageman's been really smart letting the game come to her and creating off a ball screen offense.
Michigan State has a lot of free throw attempts on a normal day. That's Holmes inside. That's the offense Indiana wants.
And that's the footwork that Holmes does when she's able to quickly get her hips into positioning, and she just, that quick 1-2 step gets her an open look at the basket.
Holmes now 6 straight games with 20-plus points. Her 21st game of the year with 20 points. Holmes with a block on McDaniel. It's a 5-on-4 break for the Hoosiers. Parrish all alone. Scalia keeps it alive. Holmes has 23.
Unselfish play by the Hoosiers. Sydney Parrish could have shot that ball again. She has the green light to do so. Nice decision to get into a higher percentage area, draw 2 defenders over, and leave it open for one of the most efficient players in the country. Ooh.
Hageman loses Holmes. And here's Berger. Another missed pass by Grace Berger. That is twice she's tried to outlet to someone and has missed her person by a couple feet.
Mackenzie Holmes, the Defensive Player of the Year in action, times that perfectly, and it hits McDaniel in the face, not to mention. But watch the post-up. Watch the footwork of Mackenzie Holmes, one of the best in the country because she's quick, efficient, gets her seal, keeps the seal, and it's just a quick 1-2 step. Sydney Parrish also able to create, draws 2 defenders, quick look off. Mackenzie Holmes makes her move so quickly that the defense doesn't have enough time to react to contest.
Holmes is on the bench. Indiana now only down by 1. And the Spartans in a bit of a scoring drought. They've missed their last 4 field goal attempts. McDaniel ends that. She's up to 17. Zone back in the game.
That's exactly what the doctor ordered for Indiana. Get your 40% three-point shooter, an open look from beyond the arc.
We are tied in Minneapolis. He hit a couple in the first. It'll be out of bounds, and it'll be Indiana ball. Here come the Indiana Hoosiers.
Well, the Hoosiers showing some life on defense, trying really hard not to allow middle drives by Michigan.
At the postseason awards for the Big Ten, and we end on Terry Morin, the Big Ten Coach of the Year. An incredible season for her, but you see her hand is bandaged up. Why is that? Well, because in the Purdue game, they were up by 20 watching film. And Grace Berger made a mistake, and so she slammed her hand down. She said she didn't actually even slam it that hard. She just hit the right spot at the right time, and so now she's going to have some form of a brace on her hand for the rest of March, likely.
Of course, you see Yarding Garzone get it to go down, but Grace Berger doesn't make very many mistakes.
No, she doesn't.
And so for her to turn the ball over and Morin to have that reaction, it's just humorous, honestly.
Garzone gives Indiana their first lead since it was 2-0, and it goes away in a heartbeat.
Michigan State has not fallen back whatsoever. Even when Indiana finally is able to land a punch, Michigan State fights right back, scoring quickly.
It was a long two from McDaniel, not a three, so it's still a 1-point lead for Indiana. Holmes with 3 on the shot clock. Here's McDaniel. Already scored 19 points today.
Oh.
What a move.
Stopped on a dime and was able to put the ball behind her back to create separation from Garzone and have a wide open look at the basket.
Spartans take the lead back. Holmes, an air ball.
Holmes at a rough angle too, awkward underneath the basket.
Joyner. Hallett. Arol fighting for the ball with Grace Berger. It's a tie-up. It'll stay here. We brought up that point about Terry Morin because a couple moments ago, Berger had a pass that was too high. You see it here, and then watch what Terry Morin does. Yikes! Don't break your toe.
We don't need her in a boot, too.
Always on Grace Berger, too. Berger, who makes so few mistakes. Let's check in with Christy.
Terry Morin, you see the brace on that right hand. She begged the doctors not to put her in a full cast because, as you see, it's on her right hand. She said, I need to be able to write on the whiteboard. I need to be able to get my contacts in my eye, for goodness sakes. But, yeah, Megan, you're right. We don't want a broken toe, too. Like, she has a fractured hand. She showed it to us. It was green. It's healing, but it was a pretty bad injury there.
You know, we always think about in March the players being beat up and tired, but this is tough on the coaches, too. They're beat up and tired as well. I mean, we've got Coach Morin almost in. Half her right side of her body is going to be bandaged by the time it's all said and done.
Holmes gives Indiana the lead. She's now got 25 points, having another classic Mackenzie Holmes performance. She and McDaniel been driving the way. McDaniel drives the lane. She's up to 23. Back and forth we go.
Kamaria McDaniel is so quick. She's been able to get by every single defender Indiana's thrown at her.
More McNeil. Top of the key, 3. She is 3 for 3 from deep. Offenses on both sides starting to heat up. These are 2 of the top 20 scoring teams in the country.
I like the pace that Michigan State is playing with right now. Mixing it up by trying to get to the basket as quickly as possible, but then running some half-court sets and making good decisions by baiting Indiana to come out and try to block, but they're generating fouls. Up
next on our air is Michigan-Ohio State, the latest game in the 2023 Big Ten Women's Tournament presented by TIAA. Ohio State, who started the season 19-0, at one point was number 2 in the country, will take on their rival. Spartans can't keep it alive. Meanwhile, Another foul. The one that was just called, by the way, was on Mackenzie Holmes. That's her third. This one's on Tori Osmond, her second.
Nice pass.
Geary, as easy a bucket as she'll have all month of March.
Even when Berger's not scoring, she's facilitating, and that's just as valuable as getting the ball in the basket, getting the ball to two teammates to get it in the basket.
Berger, the all-time winningest player in Indiana history. Hoosiers up by 4. That's the most they've led all day. Hageman loses the entire defense and drives for 2. Megan, everybody should know, just looked at me and put up her hand like, no, I have nothing to say on that.
I mean, she just handles that ball like a yo-yo and got everybody, including myself, to stand up out of their stance to get to the basket.
Hoosiers have made 3 straight field goals. Offensive foul on Berger.
Kamaria McDaniel has been all over the floor for Michigan State, making it so difficult. And Berger is just that leading with the chest, leading with the arm into the chest is what makes that charge happen. Look at Hageman. She is just staying so crafty, keeping her dribble. And that hesitation, I thought she was going to pick the ball up too. Unbelievable.
That was her first field goal of the day for Hageman after missing 7 straight shots. Splits the defense again. McDaniel has the baseline and draws a foul.
Didi Hageman and Kamaria McDaniel have been a fantastic 1-2 punch in this third quarter. Not only are they staying aggressive defensively, but on the offensive side of the ball, using their quickness to get by Indiana defenders to create for others and for themselves.
You know, McDaniel has done all this without any free throw attempts yet. She leads the team in free throw attempts, so this hasn't even been her strength in the first 3 quarters. And she can tie things up here with 4 seconds left in the third. July 15th, the BTN Big 10K returns to Soldier Field in Chicago. For the 10K and 5K races, scan the QR code or register right now at btnbig10k.com. McDaniel for the tie. No. Indiana can't get a shot off to end the quarter. That banked-in bucket will not count. We have a 1-point ball game in the Big Ten tournament with the #1 seed.
Best and true competitors. And Kamaria McDaniel has been great on both sides of the ball, as has Mackenzie Holmes, the defensive player of the year, has had 2 crucial blocks to start to create some offense for Indiana. This fourth quarter is going to come down to who can defend without fouling best.
In that first matchup, Indiana made a big run in the fourth quarter, but Michigan State held them off, partly by hitting 11 free throws in the final 10 minutes. Keep in mind, too, Grace Berger and Sydney Parrish are wonderful scorers who have had off days offensively. Parrish has 0 points, Berger has 2. Those 2 normally combine for 24 a contest.
Michigan State has forced Indiana to stand offensively. The Hoosiers got to get more movement on the offensive side of the ball to force Michigan State to shift and just simply move.
Indiana showed their offense that last quarter. They put 25 points on the board in the third. Scalia, the step back long 2. Aralt with the board. Michigan State, one of only 2 teams to beat Indiana this season. The other one being Iowa, the last game that Indiana played. McDaniel loses it. Parrish, her first points of the game.
The first time she's had time to get her feet set, get her legs underneath her, and have enough oomph to get the shot to go through, because Michigan State has been all over Parrish the moment that she gets to the three-point line.
50th three-pointer of the season for Parrish. Aralt with an answer, no. Holmes, double team, offline.
That was an effective double because it forced Holmes to get off balance.
Has she seemed rushed a little bit to you today?
Yes, and it comes from the double team happening or when she's not exactly in her spot because she got pushed off of the spot.
Osmond will take a long two with a foot on the line. Holmes with the rebound. Another open look for Parrish. Another three for Parrish. She has woken up in the fourth quarter, and the Spartans call timeout. They're suddenly down by 7.
Grace Berger might not be scoring the ball at a high level right now, but different Michigan State jerseys down, trying to prevent an easy look. Sydney Parrish is in the corner. Sarah Scalia's at the wing. Michigan State has to choose, and they chose poorly. Moira Joyner steps out, thought the ball was going to Scalia, then has to redirect and get to Parrish in the corner. Great job by Berger getting to the paint in order to create that shot.
That's our Play with a Plan, brought to you by TIAA. Work passionately, retire confidently. And a foul committed by Tori Osmond to start off this next sequence of action, as Michigan State has been in control the majority of the game. They led by 10 at the end of the first quarter. They're now down by 7. Holmes. Look at the ball movement for the Hoosiers. Hageman flips it out to Joyner. She'll take that three. Tyre Parks. Foul on Mackenzie Holmes. That'll be her 4th.
Parks is such a physical player down in the post, and she generates contact when the rebound goes up offensively, trying to get the correct positioning to get the offensive rebound. Holmes got baited into that.
Megan, the story of the first half was Michigan State and their 8 3-pointers. They haven't hit one yet in the second.
Because Indiana has run them off the three-point line and forced them to get to the middle.
Kamaria McDaniel is putting on a performance. 26 points, and she's heading to the line.
Kamaria McDaniel has been fantastic in this matchup, not only defending but also keeping it for herself, playing one-on-one. Chloe Moore-McNeil is one of the best defenders in the Big Ten. McDaniel gets just low enough on the spin to go underneath Moore-McNeil's shoulder and create the space to get the shot off.
McDaniel's 8th 20-point performance on the season. Someone that was transferred from Baylor and Penn State to be here. When you talked to Susie Merchant beginning of the season, she said, you know what? She came home. She should have been a Spartan in the first place. Hageman forces a turnover and a foul on Grace Berger. Hey, Sunday we got men's hoops coming your way. The regular season comes to a close. Big matchups all around. You got Maryland and Penn State, Nebraska and Iowa, and Northwestern taking on Rutgers. And if you know anything about the men's season, it's been wild. These games are presented by Jeep. It'll happen Sunday on the Big Ten Network. The middle of the conference is just jam-packed with everybody fighting for wins. The records are almost all the same. It's been an incredible week of basketball, by the way, for both the men and the women.
The competition has come out at an all-time high, and it goes to show you just the parity in this league on both sides.
Illinois and Michigan in double OT yesterday for the men. Matilda Eck in and out. Joyner gets slapped by Parrish.
Michigan State is killing Indiana right now on second chance opportunities, simply by crashing the boards hard on offense and not allowing the play to just end. Indiana has to do a better job creating contact with their man and pushing out, boxing out.
And that's 4 fouls on Indiana. So the next foul puts the Spartans in the bonus. And Michigan State is great at getting to the free throw line anyway, so that could be a way MSU creeps back in. Again, they're only down 4. Just feels like the momentum is shifted towards IU.
And now the full court press comes on. Indiana has to stay composed.
Right away, a turnover. It's what MSU does. It's what Terry Morin said. The key to the game is to keep the turnovers down. They did not want live ball turnovers, but they certainly don't want that type of turnover either.
And unforced somewhat, because off the inbounds play, Sydney Parrish just passed it to the sideline, essentially. Credit Michigan State for sending 2 players at Grace Berger.
Matilda Eck will inbound. And they're ready to play. Brand new shot clock for the Spartans. Joyner corrals a dangerous inbounds pass. D.D. Hageman, double team. Finds Eck, who can't find the ball. And there's a whistle. It's on Parks. That's her fourth. If you haven't been paying attention the first 2 days, there have been so many close games. I mean, look at these 2-possession ball games or less. We have never had this in the 30-year history of the Big Ten Women's Tournament.
Well, this is the deepest the Big Ten has been and the best it's been in a really long time. And it goes to show you, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you're seated in this tournament, everyone's trying to fight to live another day.
Tell you what, Michigan State can get this win. You're going to have to start talking about them with the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee as a bubble team. I mean, this would be 2 of the best wins that any team in the country has. Garzone from deep.
Indiana has not been able to utilize Yarden Garzone as much because she's been in foul trouble on the bench. But when they can get her in with her size at 6'3", it's so difficult to contest because she's able to get her shot off at a high release.
Only 3 players in the country have a better three-point percentage than Garzone. Joyner. Hageman fouled by Moore McNeil.
Michigan State's been moving without the ball at a high level. The moment that somebody drives, there's another player in a green jersey trying to drive, get into the eyesight of their teammate to help space the defense, but also create scoring opportunities. The double comes over, the back cut. Everybody in a white jersey gets caught ball watching. Nice hard cut by D.D. Hageman to create that opportunity.
Remember, with just less than 5.5 minutes to go, the Spartans are in the bonus. Hageman hits the first. She is now 8 of 8 from the free throw line today. It's a 4-point game. Garzone. It's an offensive foul. It's on Garzone. That'll be her 4th. So let's recap. For Michigan State, Tyre Parks has 4 fouls. For Indiana, Garzone has 4, and Mackenzie Holmes has 4.
Garzone just hesitated, took way too much time when she went down there. And at that point, Michigan State had enough time to set up and force her to barrel into her.
And again, we slowly march to the other end of the court. 2 free throws are waiting for the Spartans.
And the free throws allow Michigan State, if they knock them down both, to set up in that press. It's caused issues for Indiana.
Osmond shoots 65% on the season. Michigan State is 14 of 18 from the line today. She misses them both. The lead is 4 for the number 2 team in the country, the top seed in this Big Ten tournament. Berger, bucket.
Berger 6 feet tall, D.D. Hageman 5'7". It's a great matchup down low to post Berger up and let her go with the work on the mismatch in the paint.
4 points, 6 boards, 4 assists for Berger. McDaniel, offensive foul. Sydney Parrish. What a play.
Sydney Parrish gets outside to establish herself.
That is a brutal turn. Let's see what happened.
Elbow to the face right there. And yeah, I mean, she gets her. You can't bring the elbow up totally out of the play and generate that contact.
by hitting them both. One more look.
Talk about how there can't be any extracurriculars. That's just an unnecessary elbow to the face. That's the right call by the official.
Happened on Moore McNeil, who, by the way, has a career-high 10 assists today to go along with her 10 points. Joyner for 2. They get those 2 points right back. Indiana has broken that Spartan press all day. It has not been nearly as much of a burden as it was for the Spartan opponent yesterday. Nebraska. Berger with the shot and the foul.
Grace Berger is doing Grace Berger things. She's a senior. She's been in this position many times. Once again, getting her in the post. She is elite when she has her back to the basket, then can make that quick dribble towards the middle, turn around, and she squares her shoulders up in midair at ease. That high release point is so difficult to block.
Yep. Missed free throw, and it's coming the other way. Christy?
Grace Berger, as you see, wears number 34. And it's for Paul Pierce because of his mid-range game that he displayed, but she just knocked that shot in, and that's her wheelhouse right there at the nail.
So the Spartans are down by 8. They need some offense. Hageman, the bounce pass to McDaniel, who misses the bunny. It'll stay with MSU.
Not only has Hageman been a great creator, but I've been loving this matchup between Moore McNeil and McDaniel because they are going at it right now. Just a chess match between offense and defense.
Joyner with Parrish on her. In the paint, the floater, no, but she'll head to the line. And that's what in the commercial you were talking about. I said, where's Michigan State need to get offense? You said they got to start driving.
Oh, a smart decision by Joyner to ice the screen as well because Parrish had shifted her body, getting ready for the contact to come. And as a result, Joyner was able to quickly, when Parrish was out of position, try to get to the basket.
This will be the 8th and 9th free throws this quarter for Michigan State. Remember, they're the second best team in the Big Ten at getting free throw attempts. The men's basketball tournament presented by TIAA comes your way from Chicago next week. The tip-off is Wednesday, 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central here on the Big Ten Network. Holmes with the rebound. The lead is 7. Moore McNeil. One and done for Indiana. Can the Spartans capitalize? Hageman. And Moore McNeil has it.
Indiana needs to slow down, try to take a little time off the clock on this possession.
The Big Ten regular season champions were down by 10 at the end of the first quarter. Have come back strong here in the second half. Scalia!
Michigan State has to get a high hand up on Sarah Scalia. If Sarah Scalia sees your hands down, she's going to shoot it automatically the moment she touches the ball.
Indiana has flipped the script. Michigan State hit 8 3-pointers in the first half. Indiana's got 4 3-pointers here this quarter. Offensive foul. Now you're feeling it starting to crumble for MSU.
Michigan State getting really frustrated by some of the calls that have happened. But Parks has been physical in the post all day long with Holmes. They've gone back and forth. Bottom of your screen, 14 and 54. I don't see anything wrong with that, just trying to create space. They're going to call her for the arm bar, but when you're battling back and forth like that, it's a tough call to make because of that level of physicality that's been at play this entire game.
Double dose of bad news as she has now fouled out. Foul trouble yesterday. Foul trouble today. Point lead for Indiana is the largest lead they've had all afternoon. Ayrault thought she had a clean turnover. Instead, it's a foul on her. mentioned how much of a struggle it was for Sydney Parrish, Grace Berger, and Yarden Garzone in the first half. Come alive a little bit here in the second.
I mean, look, Garzone, Berger, and Parrish all average double figures in scoring, so it's not like they've had a massive turnaround, but nonetheless, Michigan State did a great job defensively in that first half into the second, but Indiana's done a better job spacing the floor and passing and creating for each other, which is something Michigan State completely took away from them in the first half.
Mackenzie Holmes just tied a career high for free throws made in a game. Her 11th. The lead is a dozen. Spartans need offense in a hurry. A-Roll provides. And here's the press. Almost forced to turnovers. Joyner and Hageman had the Hoosiers trapped.
Indiana's not going to be able to run on the baseline.
They forced 14 turnovers so far, Michigan State has. I think the officials want to check to make sure they got their call right there. 2 minutes left in the game. They're not going to check.
Ooh. That looks like
Close.
it went off Indiana.
That's close. It will be Hoosier ball. Indiana breaks it beautifully with Chloe Moore McNeil.
Moore McNeil is so quick, it's hard to keep up with her.
And now the biggest enemy is the clock for the Spartans. Need a stop here. Berger drives the lane, a clutch bucket on what has not been a brilliant scoring night for her. The lead is 11. Almost saved by McDaniel. It's Indiana ball.
3 different green jerseys went with Mackenzie Holmes on that play, and Berger was able to have a wide open lane to the basket.
We always talk about how some of these great players in the Big Ten don't have to score to have a great day. 4 assists, 6 boards. The buckets when she got them were late in the game when they needed it the most. Foul on Joyner. Scally will head to the line.
Grace Berger's presence and composure, in addition to Chloe Moore McNeil's, is what has allowed Indiana to have success in the fourth quarter. The moment they've had the ball, everybody else has taken a collective breath and have been able to play within their own roles. I've been really impressed with the way Moore McNeil has defended as well, because Kamaria McDaniel was a massive problem for Indiana in this through 3 quarters.
This has been a big difference in the second half on shooting. Threes alone. It's been a tough year for Michigan State. Back in December, they lost Gabby Elliott to a knee injury. She was a Clemson transfer who was playing good ball. 9 points, 5 rebounds a game. They lost their head coach in January. Susie Merchant was in a car accident. Still not back with the team. Of course, we all know what happened with the shooting a couple weeks ago on their campus. They bonded together. They put up some great fight. Had an excellent game yesterday against Nebraska and stood strong against what is an absolute Final Four bound team in Indiana.
Indiana came out completely flat. They looked really bad in the first half. There's no sugarcoating it. And Michigan State came out fantastically, slowed down the Hoosiers, didn't allow them to do anything on the offensive side of the ball. But ultimately, the Spartans ran out of steam as Indiana started to figure out how to get things going offensively and flow.
McDaniel's tied a season high with 29 points. Timeout, Indiana. Up by 11, just under a minute to go. And Indiana, we mentioned they're having the greatest season in program history. Look at their tournament resume. Right now, our Autumn Johnson has them projected as a 1.
Flashy. Everybody plays together. Indiana is disciplined. They share the ball at a high level. They're second in the Big Ten in assists per game with nearly 19. Unselfish basketball is a recipe for success.
There's a foul on Indiana. It will be on Holmes, and she's done. That's her 5th. By the way, one more nugget, just kind of a big picture on Indiana. Let's remind you who they lost in the offseason Ali Patberg, Nicole Cardano-Hillary, Alexa Golbe, Grace Wagner. I mean, they lost a massive chunk of their very good team last year.
What's crazy is Indiana lost Nicole Cardano-Hillary, and Grace Berger was playing off the ball as a 2-guard, 3-guard, and she's had to step up to the point guard position this year, which isn't necessarily out of position because she's used to having the ball in her hands. But it's incredible as Hageman hits the 3 to see what Indiana's been able to do despite losing so much and having Grace Berger shift over to that point guard position.
Hageman's 3. Going to put a little pause on the end of this game. This is still only an 8-point ball game with 50 seconds to go. Both teams in the bonus. 2 timeouts left on each side.
Having Holmes on the bench right now is going to be big for Michigan State. Indiana has to value every single possession. Just get the ball in and try to get it over half court.
Berger, more McNeil. She's all alone and chooses not to score. Instead, run that clock some more. Aralt with a strong foul, and the officials putting the hands up saying, let's calm down. Indiana has won this Big Ten tournament one time. It was back in 2002. Last year, they made it to the Big Ten tournament championship game as a 5 seed. Lost to the Iowa Hawkeyes. Again, this is the first game back for Indiana since losing to Iowa in the regular season finale in that crazy Caitlin Clark game-winning shot, where, by the way, Chloe Moore McNeil was defending her, tripped on the shot, and hence gave Clark more of a good look than she wanted. And we talked with Terry Morin about it afterwards, and she said immediately afterwards the most disappointed person was Chloe Moore McNeil because she expects more of herself.
Well, and she's one of the best defenders in the Big Ten and always accepts the tough assignments on the scouting report. And just goes to show you how competitive this Indiana team is. And a player like Chloe Moore McNeil.
In the history of the program, they've never won 20 games in back-to-back seasons until Terry Morin got here. They've now won 20 games or more 8 straight years.
Look, Bloomington's now become a destination for some of the top college basketball players in the country.
Hageman gets fouled. Chance to score with the clock stopped. 41 seconds left in the game. Hageman a perfect 9 of 9 from the stripe. She had 18 points yesterday. Been playing great ball at the end of the year. The last 9 games averaging 13 points and 6 assists. She got 15 points today. It's the second one. Her first miss on 12 attempts, but she gets the ball back. McDaniel, a 3. No, but she's fouled. And back to the line for the Spartans again.
Boxing out on a free throw. It's such a simple concept, but it is so important. Oh, there wasn't any contact on that shot.
Guess what? That's 5 on Garzone. She's done too.
I mean, McDaniel kicked her leg out. Garzone didn't touch her at all.
This means Mackenzie Holmes has fouled out. Yarden Garzone has fouled out. 2 of the star players for Indiana. A combined 39 points today on the bench for the last 35 seconds. Up next, it's Michigan and Ohio State in a 5-4 matchup. Whoever wins this game will play those 2, or whoever wins that matchup tomorrow. Indiana's taking a timeout because this got a lot closer. This is now a 2-possession ball game.
With 2 matches.
You battling injuries. Taylor Mikesell, a superstar shooter for Ohio State. That matchup against Michigan will be fantastic, and it comes your way 25 minutes after this game comes to a close. Timeout Indiana. That's their last one.
Tough that Indiana could not get the ball in because using that last timeout means they're not going to be able to advance the ball anymore on defense. Credit the way Michigan State has been.
Quarter alone in that game.
Free throws and layups are two of the biggest factors in close games. You have to be able to knock them down from the stripe at the end. And it's going to be key for Indiana to try to get it in quickly and get ready for Michigan State to come at them.
No time off the clock when there's a foul. Again, both teams in the bonus, so we're going to have a whole bunch of free throws probably in these last 35 seconds. The foul on Tori Osmond. She has 4. Let's recap the foul situation for you. Osmond has 4. Aralt has 4. And Tyre Parks has already fouled out for Michigan State. For Indiana, Pierre Zone has fouled out, Holmes has fouled out, and Alyssa Geary has 4 fouls.
It's a good thing we got some players on the bench because all these foul outs, you never know if you got to throw a manager in or something.
Henna Sandvik has checked in, the freshman from Finland for Indiana. I mean, we should check if Ali Pappert has a 12th year of eligibility left.
Yeah, just find it somewhere.
She's on the bench. I mean, let's get her in.
She looks ready to play.
It's a 7-point lead, and Michigan State will take their last timeout. So they will get to advance the ball as well. What everybody else says, all the other bubble teams can impact whether a team that might have lost in their first game like Nebraska could still make it in to an NCAA tournament. Down by 7, the Spartans have 35 seconds left and work to do. McDaniel to the baseline, she missed it! More McNeil will be shooting free throws. That was a golden opportunity.
Great decision by Michigan State. Just what they needed to do. Get the ball to McDaniel, who's been so successful at getting to the basket, but she just misses the bunny. And Moore McNeil doing a nice job defending with that balance. She's like, I'm not going to let this become a 3-point situation. Really strong move and finish.
Julia Aralt picks up the foul. That's her 5th. She and Tyre Parks are both on the bench for good. Moore McNeil is a great free throw shooter, 6th in the Big Ten, averaging 85% from the line on the season. And she stretches the lead to 9. Hageman will shoot 2. Indiana's already scored 30 points here in the 4th quarter after scoring 25 in the 3rd. They were down 40-34 at halftime after being down 10 points in the 1st. Just have slowly found their rhythm each quarter, getting better and better, especially offensively.
Indiana also had 6 days between games, and sometimes that's a lot of time to have to sit and just focus on a scout. You're not sure in the tournament play, too, until yesterday at 3 o'clock. They knew they were going to play Michigan State. You had to prepare for both teams, potentially.
This is their 3rd game on a neutral court for Indiana. They won both of their other matchups. I think the clock started early there, by the way. Moore McNeil gets the pass, and she'll head to the line. Seven-point lead for IU. A 1 seed in the Big Ten tournament. Sure to be a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. The highest they've ever been, by the way, is a 3 seed, which came last year. Let's look at the clock here.
Oh, yeah, it starts.
It did start early.
Yeah. They're going to go put more time back on the clock. Happy trigger finger there.
Yeah. Again, this is the first of 4 games on our air today. Chance to see Indiana for the first time, Ohio State for the first time, Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes for the first time, and one of the most dangerous but quiet teams in the country, the Maryland Terrapins, are the 3 seed and are playing incredible basketball right now.
Maryland just beat Iowa by 28 a week and a half ago. It's wild to think. And then Iowa comes and beats Indiana at the buzzer last week. It just depends on the day. I tell you what, I don't want to play Maryland if I'm anybody in the country. I don't want to play Iowa. I don't want to play Indiana.
Look at they've just bumped up to a 1 seed in Autumn Johnson's seed projection. That's how good Maryland is, but they've been so quiet because of everything they lost. I mean, one of the players who's in the discussion for National Player of the Year, Angel Reese, was on Maryland last year. She transferred away, and folks, I think, just thought, well, we don't have to think that much about Maryland. And it just got better as the year went on.
Well, they also have Diamond Miller, who's going to be a first-round draft pick in the WNBA. There's a lot to think about.
Joyner will not let this game come to a close.
I love the fight this Michigan State team has shown. Making big plays at the end, but this press is going to have to be what gets them over the top if they're going to do it.
And again, they get the ball to Moore McNeil, who again will head to the line. She is 9 of 10 from the free throw line today. You know, something that was interesting when we were talking with Terry Morin about the defense in that game they just played against Iowa. She said, remember, even though Chloe feels bad because she tripped and she misses the first free throw there, that was the most points we've allowed all year. They gave up 86 points in that game. They've given up 85 in this one.
Well, they've given up 24 points at the foul line as well, and they have 3 different players that have been in foul trouble. So the defense also matters regarding the foul situation.
Eck just had to flip up the 3 with no chance. And this will do it. Scalia heads to the line. An incredible effort from Michigan State will fall just short. They are the only one of 2 teams to beat Indiana this season. The other one being Iowa. Their performance today will not be enough.
Credit the Spartans, what they've been able to do the last 2 days in this tournament. A great defensive effort on both days, especially when it comes down to that press. It is flustered and given a lot of issues to a lot of teams.
Remember, we talked about what happened in the huddle. He was saying, keep your eyes up, keep your focus. They played great ball against, again, a team that will be favored to go to the Final Four. The top-seeded team survives, and Indiana improves their all-time record. They've now got 27 wins on the year.
Credit the way Indiana fought back after getting punched in the mouth by Michigan State.